They called her the most beautiful woman in the world. But behind Elizabeth Taylor's violet eyes and diamond-encrusted image was a storm of scandal, seduction, and political chaos that shook Hollywood and the White House to their core. What if I told you that Elizabeth Taylor, a Hollywood's golden goddess, was rumored to have slept with not one, but two U.S. presidents? That's right, JFK and Ronald Reagan. This isn't a tabloid headline from the 60s. It's a buried piece of American history whispered in the corridors of power and shielded by the silence of the elites for decades. And tonight, we're digging it all up. Let's rewind. It's 1948. Elizabeth Taylor is just 16 years old but already a rising star at MGM. She's playing roles that older women envy and directors whisper she has that intangible magnetism that makes cameras fall in love. But it's not just Hollywood watching her. Washington is watching too. Because one evening at a lavish party hosted by MGM execs, she meets a 36-year-old actor-turned-political hopeful named Ronald Reagan. Yes, that Ronald Reagan. He's charming. Presidential. But back then, just another Warner Brothers contract player with fading stardom and rising ambitions. According to multiple second-hand accounts, including Taylor's own alleged confession to friends years later, Reagan didn't just flirt. He made a move. And what happened next has been debated ever since. Taylor would later claim that Reagan, a full 20 years her senior, seduced her that very night. Some say it was consensual. Others suggest Reagan used his political charm and power to manipulate a teenage Taylor in a moment of vulnerability. Whatever the truth is, it wasn't just a fling, it left a mark. According to several biographies, including Sam Kashner's deep dives into MGM's secret culture, Taylor allegedly described Reagan as gentle but calculated. She told one friend, "I didn't know what was happening until it was over. And then I knew everything." Hollywood stayed silent. Reagan at the time was still seen as squeaky clean, a Boy Scout with good hair. The idea that he had an intimate encounter with a 16-year-old starlet? Unthinkable. But Hollywood has always known how to keep its secrets buried. For a while, at least. But let's jump ahead to the 1960s. Elizabeth Taylor is no longer the ingenue. She's a certified global icon. A two-time Oscar winner. A queen. And in the shadows, a different man enters her orbit. John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States. The youngest, most charismatic leader America has ever known. And a man with an insatiable appetite for women. By now, JFK's inner circle knew how to manage his libido. He had mistresses in every state and a line of Hollywood actresses stretching from Marilyn Monroe to Angie Dickinson. But Elizabeth Taylor? That was the crown jewel. The ultimate conquest. According to William Stadium's controversial Hollywood tell-all and claims made by former Kennedy staffers who spoke off the record, JFK and Taylor met multiple times at parties, at political fundraisers, and through mutual friends like Frank Sinatra. And then, at a private event in 1961, just months into his presidency, rumors swirled that JFK and Taylor disappeared together for hours. Taylor allegedly bragged to her friends that she blew JFK's mind. One account even quotes her saying he thought he was God's gift. "I showed him what a real goddess is." Scandalous? Absolutely. But not out of character. JFK's affairs were compulsive. Some say pathological. And Taylor was no stranger to powerful men. She had been married multiple times by then, including to producer Mike Todd and soon to Richard Burton. But unlike Monroe, who lived in the shadows of JFK's affection and ultimately died under suspicious circumstances, Taylor was never afraid to speak her truth. Even if it came decades later. In one now famous quote, dismissed by some as hearsay but confirmed by multiple biographers, Taylor reportedly said, "If they ever opened the files on the men I slept with, the CIA would need a second headquarters." Was she joking? Maybe. But what's no joke is this: the FBI, the Secret Service, and multiple U.S. presidents had thick files on Elizabeth Taylor. Not for any crime, but because of the company she kept and the secrets she could have exposed. Let's not forget Taylor was a fierce Zionist with ties to Israel's Mossad intelligence agency. She was so outspoken in her politics that Egypt banned her films in the 60s. If anyone knew what the American government was hiding behind its smiling faces, it was her. Now, let's talk motivation. Why would Taylor engage with men like Reagan or JFK? Was it survival in a brutal, male-dominated industry? Was it attraction? Or was it power? Because if there's one thing Elizabeth Taylor craved as much as love, it was control. She didn't just want to be Hollywood's sweetheart, she wanted to be untouchable. And in a time when actresses were disposable, Taylor made herself indispensable. By seducing presidents? Possibly. By mastering the media? Absolutely. She knew how to play the press like a violin. Leak a rumor here. Pose with a senator there. Create controversy, then cash in on it. And for Reagan and JFK, the risk was always greater than the reward. Because once you're a president, every whisper becomes a weapon. Let's go deeper. There's one story buried in a private memoir by a Hollywood publicist that claims JFK's brother, Robert Kennedy, once begged Taylor to stop talking about their tryst. She laughed, the memoir recalls. She said, "You can't kill a memory, Bobby." But let's ask the real question, why haven't you heard about this before? Simple. Because Elizabeth Taylor was protected. Not just by Hollywood, but by the same machine that protected the Kennedys. The same machine that scrubbed Monroe's death, that silenced Sinatra's mob ties, that buried Hoover's secrets. Taylor's legacy was too valuable, her image too profitable, and the men involved too powerful to fall. Until now. Because in today's world, secrets don't stay buried. The archives are opening. Biographies are less afraid. And even Taylor's own grandchildren have hinted that Grandma had stories we'll never be able to tell. But we're telling them anyway. Because history isn't just what's written in textbooks. It's what's whispered in dressing rooms and presidential suites. So what does this all mean? Did Elizabeth Taylor really sleep with Ronald Reagan when she was 16? Did she really seduce JFK in the White House? We may never get a smoking gun. But when you connect the dots, the timing, the testimonies, the personalities, it paints a picture more compelling than any movie script. And maybe that's the real tragedy. That the most powerful men in America thought they could use Elizabeth Taylor like any other starlet, and she flipped the script. She used them. She turned every affair, every scandal, into leverage. Into currency. Into power. Elizabeth Taylor didn't just survive Hollywood. She outplayed it. And if that meant seducing presidents along the way, she didn't blink. So the next time you see a black and white photo of JFK shaking hands with a Hollywood actress, look closer. Look at her smile. Look at his eyes. And ask yourself, who is really in control? Because in a world full of secrets, only one thing's for sure, Elizabeth Taylor always got the last word.